What's up, everybody? I just wanted to show a quick example of bunker concepts on offense. The first thing, we had covered this last night, was to round the corner together. So we had pushed back the D.Va from a angle that we could fight her without the rest of her team. So remember that if you're back here, be with your tanks. You want to have that same angle as we covered in Brawl for the 1-inch punch. And so we can round the corner together and begin our fight. I want you to also point or look at the comps or the hero selection. A lot of our advantage comes from the fact that most Brawl teams will not have very much ranged. And we can see they have Ana, they have Junkrat, and then other than that, they just have a Fire Strike and, you know, some micro missiles. And so we could totally round this corner. All 5 of us with a Mercy boost can shoot and gain an advantage without pushing in. And that's what we're striving to do here, even though it's a limbo line that we have right now. And I call for this rounding the corner and shooting, and you guys are using cover beautifully. I would encourage Chris to get in here too. Just, you know, stay behind the team still and get in there and get your damage out, shoot, shoot, heal. Once this barrier is broken, this is the advantage we're looking for. Notice how quickly that broke as well. We're still at full health. We're still ready to rock. We're good to go. When that barrier breaks, I see it as advantage. And so that orb is already out. This is what we're looking for with all of our abilities too. And so we break the barrier and now we throw abilities to catch everything that's there or to get further advantage. And so the pull hits, both tanks come off, and this is where hook can land. This is where headshots and other damage can land. We can chase this. This is our advantage. And it's an extreme advantage because they got pulled away from their team, and there's really nothing to save them at this point. And so we decided to push in on this. I remember there being some calls for the Junkrat. But look at where this Junkrat's at, and not only that, but we still have Sage in the back, so we're still good to go. This is the right call. Leave your off tank to handle the off angle. Or somebody. It doesn't have to be your off tank. And so we can push forward. Main tank's taking the brunt, the front, using the abilities to take space, command space, while the off tank is handling anything the main tank cannot handle. And so we keep pushing in. We catch the Reaper, we almost catch the Mercy, and I'm encouraging, go forward, go forward, go forward. There's that hesitation allows this Junkrat to gain space, which he did, he came forward. It also stops us from claiming the ground that we're given. And so now we're kind of spread, we're all over the place, and then we rally together, and you know the Junkrat chases, and then Sage is right back there. I don't know if that was intentional, but it worked out. This is exactly what we're looking for. Also, for those who weren't there that night, this was something I was shouting for everyone to move, and so we're wanting to move to a location that is advantageous to us, which is going to be high ground, which is going to be cutting angles. Cutting the battlefield. And so we're not fighting the full 6 stack the whole time. We get a rest. We get cooldowns that are able to come back. Granted, in this situation, we probably just could have run over them because we're still 6 strong, whereas they only have 4 at this point. And now 3. And so people are coming back. Keep in mind, main tank is your Reinhardt in this comp. Orisa is your Reinhardt equivalent. And so if you break off to take an off angle, just keep in mind you're going to have a weaker off angle. So if they push you, you have to defend yourself. You might get caught. You might be dead. They could very easily just walk forward. D.Va could cut you off, and we would have to come save you. They don't realize that, I don't think. Or maybe they do. They're starting to take that position. So it was risky. I'm glad you guys came back. We claimed this high ground. Granted, I believe here we could have taken the point. We could have left people on high ground. We could have bunkered the point with the tanks, and we would have been good. So that was kind of my bad to bunker here, considering we're still in advantage because Junkrat is having to respawn. So my mistake, but I also end up misreading the field, and eventually I send Sage to solo the point because I don't realize that we're not in we're as good in a position as I think we are. And Sage gets annihilated. So how this play went forward was a complete misplay. I apologize. We did not have advantage. We gave time. They were able to rally while we're shooting, while we're fighting. We're losing people. This is simply a defensive posture now. And so before we even send the tanks, we need to find that advantage. Remember that step one, and then we make the play. We go in and we do whatever we can with the advantage we have or we got. Even something as small as a barrier break or a very cracked barrier can be an advantage to pressure. And then handle off angles with somebody or your tank. So you guys do a pretty cool job of holding out. And then we end up rallying. And notice their mobility too. The only reason we were able to hold that position on the high ground was because there were people who could not support that fight. So good job falling back. Good job rallying. Good job on this off angle as well. The fight has already started. Don't worry about rallying with the team. Just start that off angle. Be careful with ult usage. That's another thing I want to point out. We have a lot of ults going out here. We have 3, and then on the fight before, I know we used 1, I think, as well at the end. So just be careful about ult usage. Call it out. And if we coordinate those and stagger those, that's going to be best. Right here, you can see the limbo line effect still taking effect. So we're wanting to push forward, but there's damage going on. We're kind of staggered away from the tank. And so we have this, I say limbo line, that's also known as a Congo line, or whatever you want to call it, where we're just spread out and staggered. We're not grouped up. And so now we're turning corners and going down hallways one at a time. Very equally spaced, in fact. This doesn't have to be. You guys can totally be up here. This is a point where we wait. And so we slow down. We give flanks opportunities to engage. We give position opportunities. And so rests need to be very intentional. And we end up getting ulted. Which is all right too. There's some things to catch, but either way, that was one of the major concepts last night. If you slow down, if you spread out, we also solo angles as well. So notice how all the teams down here, we have no angle. Up here then becomes a 1v whatever or a 2v whatever. And so if you're going to take a solo angle, don't fight the whole team. I'm glad you have this cover here, but still be careful. Be careful about taking those solo angles. And then it ends up working out. So the D.Va dives in, we put the ult out on D.Va and lock her in place, and then the push happens. I think the biggest thing, another big thing we can take away is to move and shoot. We seem to have a tendency or a pattern going on of when we shoot, we stop. And so we get spread, we get scattered from our tank, we get scattered, we get left alone. And so we did get kills. This is good, but we're missing the advantage. We have a opportunity to catch people, and granted, we're getting a lot of kills still. We're getting a lot of use out of this push, and then we rally as they come in, which is beautiful, which I'm thankful for. We lose 2, but the res cures 1. Brings 1 back. this just ends up being chaos. So we drop the ults, we're forced off the point, we're still fighting, we're covering each other, and so we have more ults going out. So this was a good recovery. You guys fell back together, Sage is coming back, covering each other too. That's beautiful to see. Don't forget, if you need to, go to your high ground. Up here is very useful, or even circling around and encircling Rein is also very useful. Good job sticking together, dividing into groups, and receiving the push. And then we re-rally, we get back into our spot, and we win the match.
Victory.
So, well played. Just some reminders to turn corners together, stick closer with your tank, move to a position like a high ground or another cover when you take an advantage. If you move in without taking an advantage, it's to your risk, because both teams will be at full strength. We're just rolling the die. And so get that advantage, push in together, and push and push and push until you need to stop. Try not to separate from your tank so that flanks do not catch up to us and do not hit our backline. And then be sure, if they re-rally, this was my bad, to get that advantage again before we make a play. And so force them off, kill the people who have ranged, kill the ones who are a threat to us, focus fire on them, break a barrier if we need to, and then play off of that. Off angles are also good. So after we establish a point, if we are in range and if it is advantageous to your character and you can do this, feel free to take an off angle, especially with your mobility. So if you're Junkrat, or even the if we have snipers and such like Ashe or even McCree, in some cases. And then Rex, you can too. Just be cautious. I would recommend only short angles with Hanzo. That way we can still help you out. All right, and then afterwards, just pushing together, and then finally, good job getting off the point. Don't worry about the point. The main people that need to stay on point, so I want to show this at the end too. The main people that do need to stay on point are going to be the tanks. And so if we're all set up here, and we notice this at the end. So we're setting up here, we have this barrier, we have this cover, we have these pillars, we can manipulate this to our advantage while still holding the point. And we can catch them as they come in, they want to touch the point. So they're just going to run in a straight line, or almost straight line, and look at these angles. These are wonderful angles. There's not much deviation from there and there. And so if we hold this position, it's only to our advantage. If we rush forward out of this position, even as we're winning the match, we're leaving our cover, we're leaving the barrier. And it's causing, granted we won, but we're losing our advantage and we're losing our versatility by leaving that central point. And we're not together either. And so we weaken our bunker. And so there's a lot that can happen with that. So I hope that was helpful. Feel free to ask me any questions. If you want any coaching, let me know. And you guys have a wonderful weekend. Laters.